Roll call.
Amber Bryant,
Here.
Guy Calloway,
Here.
Mark Jenkins,
Here.
Aaron Johns,
Here.
Sarah Adams Orr,
Here.
Patty Quisenberry,
Here.
Christina Johnson.
Here. All right, and we just need an approval of the agenda. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Patty, second by Aaron. Roll all in favor? Yeah. Any opposed? Any abstentions? It was unanimous. Thank you. And we'll stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll just move on to our new business, and we have approval of the 2023-24 salary, and that's why we're having our special meeting today. Lori, Dr. Wilson.
Lori is fine. Lori is absolutely fine. I prefer that. No, we came to you a few weeks ago and had a conversation about salaries. And, we are continually updating things as we go through the end of this month. This is a really, any of you know, with the school business, and if you have a year end in June, if anyone else has a year end in June, it is unbelievably busy. And as things come in and things go out, we're continually updating the information that we have. And so at that time frame, we thought that we had asked for you to consider $300 to the base, but we also knew that we did not know what the other schools were getting, and we want to remain competitive with them as much as we can. So with some more information that came in, and people were, our schools, you don't want to give away all the information up front because you want to make sure that you're doing what you can for your employees. So we did find that other schools were definitely giving more of a raise to the base than what we could. And so we went back, and it's not that we came up with magic money. It's not that we came up with more money. Because when I am budgeting for next year, right now, I have revenues flat. Revenues flat as far as what we have received this year. I've said it's the same as next year. Do I expect a little bit more than that? Yes, but I also want to be on the conservative side and budget those flat. So with that, we have come back, and in order to remain as competitive as we can, and also knowing that we will never ever be able to meet cost of living that's going up right now. There's no one that can meet that, but we're going to try to do the best that we can. So we were asking that if we, instead of $40,300, if we could go to $41,000 for the base. Now, if schedule or budgeting revenues flat and expenses on the higher end, then it does take a little bit of a hit to our fund balance. And so usually I believe in the past, you've tried to at least transfer $2 million in the fund balance, so that also keeps it at about 20% in the past. I don't know that that will happen next year. I don't even know that that will happen the year after. Not only are salaries going up, but as you know, inflation is going up. So welcome to have the discussion on any questions that you have, but we would like for you to approve $41,000 as the base for next year, knowing that it affects everyone in the district, because all teachers, all classified staff, all administrators are off the base of the teacher salary, and that with the potential of only transferring $1.5 million to the fund or capital instead of $2 million. If we come through the end of the year and there's more, we would definitely transfer more.
So the 41,000 is separate to the step.
Yes, a step, that's very good, yes. You would have a step, and then you would go from 40 to 41,000. If it's an average of 2 to 3% across the board.
On the step.
On all of it.
On all of it.
Including 1,000.
Including 1,000. Yes.
So incoming would give 41,
Yes.
brand new, and then every one of these other numbers is going to be 5,000.
Increase 5,000, and then there will be a step, and it depends on where they fall. If the step is 650, if it's 700, or if it's
Now they
1,000.
would get that too.
Yes, they would get that too. Yes.
How did the surveys come back from teachers?
From the teachers on what? Because we haven't got the information yet, the one that we did through Studer, is that what you're asking about?
You were the
MSTA.
MSTA, they were doing a survey on
I have
their
not.
opinion on whether they wanted to.
Oh, I'm sorry, you have to bear with me. There was a handful, I don't know what the percentage was, so I could find the email, that some would say that 40,300 was not enough for what is going on. Is that what you're asking me?
Right.
I don't have all of those, it was just trying to think how she worded that it was, it's either 40,300, no, there wasn't like another choice.
It's either
Yeah.
no raise or free.
Yes, and there were some that said yes and some that said no, they didn't. I can find that chart for you real quick, I think I can.
I just was
Yeah.
curious how the survey.
And there wasn't, I don't know that there was anything on it that said, what else would you like?
Right,
That I don't know that was on there.
I think it was just the two options, it was yes or no, and
Yeah, let me see if I can probably find that. Keep discussing, though, look.
Will you tell us a little bit more about that survey?
it's just a survey that's sent out to teachers through MSTA, for them to give their opinion on whether they were comfortable with the raise that was presented.
Right. And I think they do that every year.
Right.
Yeah.
And my understanding was the teachers that reached out to me were the ones to go to no.
Were they offended?
Oh, I'm sure they just, I bet, yeah.
There was a good handful of them that were upset with it.
I would think so.
My concern is, as we are looking at approving $1,000 raise, I think that's a good number, but is that putting the school district in a precarious position, keeping our reserve down to 16%? Is that too low?
It is not too low, but is it something that we want to continue down that path? No. If you go back and you can look in prior years, now it's been quite a few years ago, that it got down to 12%. And then you started working your way back up. And this is probably pessimistic, but with how prices keep going up and with how salaries keep going up, I don't know that you will recover as fast as what you have in the past. It doesn't put us in a precarious position, you just don't. There are many schools that operate with 15% and above on a normal basis, that's just normal for them. But that's not what this school board has chosen in the past. So it is something that you would have to feel comfortable with. I would not want it to continue to slide over the next year, like the year after next, could it get to 15% based on what the inflation rate is, on what our needs of the district? I don't know that. We've been talking about some long-range forecasting to see where we could potentially be. Does it put us in a precarious position? No. Is it what you have been used to over the past 10 years? It's not that either.
And that's always, of course, been driven by the board, the reserve balance, and we always felt it was better at a higher rate. We didn't want to be a bank,
Right.
but we would want a reserve. And of course, we've all heard the word inflation, how it's impacted us all in every aspect right now. So, you know, that means that our money tree, as I always call it, our money tree is it's the same kind that say Nix or Central Branch or some of the other schools have. It's just they have a little more fertilizer to put on the tree to produce more money.
That's very true.
And so we don't, you know, we may have to purchase some more fertilizer for our money tree, which means the only way we get more money is by asking for a tax hike to our constituents and let them decide what they want to have monies available for our teachers.
That is definitely on the
The
table.
board can say
To
all
have
they
a
want
conversation
to
about that.
and say we're going to do it, but we're not going to do it unless we have approval.
So with adding the $1,000 to the base, does that mean every level then goes up by $1,000? So everybody's getting.
Everybody's,
No,
minimum.
right, because it could be a percentage of your step or whatever.
And if we look at the numbers on the paper, that's still below a lot of the surrounding schools.
So I found it. The MSTA, it says there were 370 respondents. And
Out of how many teachers, how many do we employ? 700?
something, yeah, not even that much.
For MSTA, you're probably looking at
Yeah.
about 450 at the most.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you've got about 3/4 at least.
And so 90% of them said yes and 10% said no. So let's say it's 300, so 37, 38 people said no.
But the only choice was you can have $300 for that.
Yes, that was the choice, absolutely.
So
Yes.
Right, so,
There wasn't an option of would you like more than 300?
No. And definitely over the next couple of years, we'll have to look at numerous things. We will have to look at where we are on our positions. Will we have to move some positions back into the classroom? Will we have, as far as attrition goes, not adding positions this year? For next year, we're not looking to add this, maybe a special education position because it's something that we have to have. Only adding positions that you definitely have to have. Here was another one I had on my mind. We talked about attrition, we talked about taxes. There was something else that just went right out of my mind, I apologize. But we will have to look at everything for the next few years because money will be tight. Not that we're going under, the sky is not falling. It's just like when you're at your own house, I have to eat more spaghetti this month than I am steak this month, that kind of stuff.
third management.
Yes.
Currently, is all the funds in from the state
No, not yet.
and even county or whatever?
No, but they're in the working budget, so the majority of it we do have accounted for. Because when I make projections, it's based on what our working budget, and I'm telling you, every day I go in and I update that revenue so it can be in the working budget. Yeah, but the sky is not falling. It's just that we just need to be aware and we need to tighten our belts and be very cognizant of what we're doing over the next couple of years.
And you said you projected those with flat revenues.
I did.
But our
Yes.
town is growing,
Yeah.
so.
It is, I don't know that it's growing at the rate that we think it is. Now, west side, that area with those apartments coming online, we may see some growth there. But, we were looking at the demographic study, and, when you're saying there's a 2 to 3% every year, well, we also need to realize that how many students are leaving Field Virtual. And that affects us this year. And so there's a little bit of a discrepancy there because we're missing theoretically 80 or 90 students here. But when we went back and looked at it, they all went virtual. So yes, revenues are projected low,
Which is good.
which is what we want to do. And, when I'd have talked with the assessor about where we are for the fall, and then also we're going to have a conversation with Joe Kender again tomorrow to have a conversation on taxes this fall and how it's going to affect us.
The thing we gotta keep in our thoughts too is that the growth that had such a positive impact on us before doesn't have such a positive financial impact as it does now, all going back to inflation.
Right.
So, demographic studies can tell us all things, but we gotta also realize how much cost is impacted that as well. And so it's really not,
I agree.
we can't base it just.
It's not growth alone.
To say, well, our town's still growing, well, that doesn't mean nothing because we don't know what the net profit that it's bringing to us compared to last year when we can visually see a lot of things that it was producing
Right.
from everything. So it's a fine line.
It is, and we'll keep it updated for you, and you saw some at that last meeting, some of the reports that we're gonna work on, and then I've got Ashley this year, that we're going to work on some reports so that we can stay on top of it and give you information on a very timely basis. But, if, we need to look at how this will play out, we need to look at, like you said, the middle of the salary schedule. Because we are facing this year, for the first time, people leaving because you can go to a different school, such as Springfield, and make more money in the middle of that salary. Now, they also they condensed their salary schedule. They only have 5 columns. They did that a few years ago. We have 8 columns, 10 columns. So they did condense theirs a little bit, which makes a little bit of a difference.
It's my understanding that a majority of teachers don't have, they're not under contract right now, because contracts haven't been issued to them.
Oh, no, all contracts that we are legally required to send have been issued. Yes, and you're a tenured teacher, unless it's a brand new tenured teacher. The tenured teacher, you're not required to send a contract.
Beginning teachers, the first 5 year teachers that haven't got their contracts yet.
They have.
So in past years, when a tenured teacher received a contract prior to,
We went back and we looked, in the past couple of years, no, they have not, because you are not required by law to do it until they are automatically assumed that they are coming back to start July 1 unless they give us notice. And so no, a contract, if you go back, I think at least 2 years, there was not a contract that went out between March and July to them, or to June.
you may want to communicate that to your teachers, because they're sitting there going, well, we're not under contract.
Yeah.
And there's some teachers that have left other school districts that I know of that were not under contract, and they felt the freedom to say, well,
Sure.
I'm going to entertain an offer.
We have,
Said they didn't know.
we have talked about that a little bit with Rochelle on trying to, an attempt to return or have some type of other contract for them, yes.
Something in writing saying, hey, there's a job here for you.
Yes.
Determine your final.
Yes, we realize that, I'm glad you brought that up, because Rochelle and I did have that conversation, and it may have been based on a conversation we had, but we know we have to do something different next year.
Without going into closed session and mentioning names, if there are teachers that have reached out to me and saying that, hey, I was anticipating getting a contract, but because I haven't yet, and another school district reached out to me and offered me a position, making more money,
Sure.
they took the
Yeah, going back, past few years, they've not received one. A tenured teacher has not received, because that was one thing that I definitely double checked on. But when you only do it once a year, people forget. And they used to be different colors, and now everything's electronic, so you definitely forget. But yeah, when we first started, you would have a pink copy for this. I remember one time, we all got pink contracts. What's that mean? And we were freaking out, because everybody got a pink contract. But we are aware of that, and we're gonna try to work to get that fixed. I'm glad you said that.
At least something to tell them, hey, your job's still here. We want you to
Sure.
come back.
Sure.
Yeah.
The time has changed. Times have changed. They really have.
So understanding this, when we voted to approve all those teachers
Right.
that were on whatever, for some reason or not, we didn't, but anyway, that we hired, they were not given a contract at that time?
They're only the probationary teachers. The tenured teachers are not.
They weren't even sent information saying your contract's been approved by the Board of Education for fiscal year such and such.
Oh, we not did that.
I guess I always assumed as a board member that it was always
They got
happening.
their contract.
And the last couple of years, we have not.
Right.
The reason they didn't is they were trying to save the back and forth of paperwork, because they were trying to wait till we had a salary approved. And then because you've got a permanent contract, and it's a legal document that's like a title. And so your title is you're coming back. Unless you give it up, we can't take it from you.
Right.
And so then we only updated it when we had the
New
final
salary.
amount for salary. And so that's why we only sent it out after we had a new salary amount, instead of sending out, here's once, here's twice. There's been some years we've changed that number 3 times.
I can understand that, when we agreed on the $300 raise at a step. Did the contracts not go out at that time?
No, we didn't agree, we didn't vote on $300.
We just talked
We
about
just
it.
talked about it.
No, we
They
just
had to go
talked
back
about
to
it.
them and talk
An offer.
to, that was the.
To the MS, yeah.
And I still think,
No,
I still believe that, I understand that then it's a living document at that point, you would have to adjust it. I still think that's better than losing them.
oh, I agree, and like I said, this is the first year, I really think, well, to my knowledge, as we're having conversations, this is the first year this has ever happened to Ozark.
It is, this May. is
So
the
we're
first
living and
year.
learning.
And part of it, maybe there's more recruiting going on.
Oh, heaven no doubt.
And more, you know what I mean? I would say that's why it's
That
a
is
bigger issue.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yes, we are, Rochelle and I did have that conversation. and we'll
We'll
work
send
on
something
it.
out to the teachers explaining the position of the school, of why
Sure, yeah.
the documentation is what
That's a
it is.
great idea.
Yeah.
Maybe even tell them moving forward, we'll make sure that, I mean, give them a time that the notices will be out by.
Sure, like February or March.
Maybe some notice.
Well, we can,
Well, but just say
We can't
we're
do
gonna
that.
make sure they get them, so we will
Right.
be adjusting, I mean,
Sure.
you can word it how
It
you want,
could,
but
and
gotta
it
be
could even
adjusting
be
the
a
time frame.
communication, to Mark's point, so like communication in the contract, it could be to the, just so you know, your position is there.
Sure.
We will have it, just a reminder, it could be a simple reminder.
and I agree, times have changed, we had to change our procedures and what we're doing too, absolutely, yep.
How much difference are we looking at for those mid salaries, the higher mid salaries in other districts?
There was quite a few on some of them, thousands,
Like 5 or
yeah, or both.
8.
Yeah.
7 to 10.
a lot?
It is.
But,
It is.
you know,
I agree with all of that, I think we should do something. I know we can only do a little at a time,
Yeah.
but the thing is, a lot of those teachers are now masters, but they have 70% or more.
Quite a few.
Didn't we pay for
We
their
pay for their
master's degree? So that's something right there, I don't know what that would have cost if they would actually went to college or went online and got their master's, that's something right there.
And that's something all school districts.
No, that's the school
No,
does for them.
it's not something all school.
A lot of them do.
A lot of, yeah, a lot of.
You don't say you have to work so
No.
long,
I know,
that's what I do.
I know,
It's a really, the lawyer says that you're on touchy ground there. You can, so we talked to them about 3 to 5 years. And most of them, if you look at our years past, have all stayed at 3 to 5. But the lawyer legally said, you can't,
You can't say that in
right.
a contract or whatever.
They're not signing themselves over. There is one school district recently that I talked to that has like a pro rate. If you leave within 1 year, you owe us this amount of money.
Oh, that's what ours is too.
But they said they haven't given it past their legal. They just did it. It's a good bluff. So, you know.
Kind of like some non-competes, I guess.
Right, it is. It's like some non-conceits. So I don't know. It's a great way to look at it.
Well, I don't want it to take anything from anybody, but if you are investing it as money that you are investing. for
Absolutely.
employees.
And thankfully,
That's what I wanted to say. We
Yeah.
have invested in it.
the ones who've left this year aren't in that group,
That's right.
which I'm grateful for, but
everything's going to have to be placed on the table,
Yeah.
Yeah.
everything. Things that we have always done because it has worked for Ozark or because it was what we've always done, no longer there. We're going to have to look at everything.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because our teachers are most important.
They are.
I mean, our students are, but our teachers are next.
Yeah.
Because the teachers impact the students.
Yes, exactly.
And I assume we compare health plans and.
Yes, that was the third
Like
thing. That was the third thing.
that was the third
That
thing.
was the third thing. And I should have wrote this in, I will learn, I'll need to just write down my notes. Is that we do need to look at health plans. We have a wonderful, wonderful relationship with Cox, and I do not want it to go out of here that we are looking to change that relationship. Okay, but it is something that we're gonna have to look at next year too. Everything has to be on the table.
Have we ever looked at self-insuring?
You know, I'm sure we have, I don't know from where I'm at, as far as, no, since I've been here just a year, but I have no problems looking at that and having those conversations. We're gonna have to think outside the box.
I just say that because I'm right there with you. I'm doing the same at my other place.
Yeah, and we will have to have bids and we will, yeah,
It's a necessity.
it is. And like I said, we have a wonderful relationship with Cox, as you know.
Well, I know.
The percentage did go up.
Yes, it
More
did.
than it
Is
normally
there a
does.
cap on that?
There is. Yeah, it went up 7% this year, and we thought it was gonna go up 9%.
Okay.
And usually when you go to a self-funded or a consortium, you are in tiers, and you have caps on those tiers too.
Yeah.
But as with all plans, especially in the educational world, if you have, and I hate to say this, if you have a few sick people, you're right there with your plan. They're not gonna shop it out. I mean, you're not gonna be able to change.
Your utilization rate
Yes.
kills you.
Yes.
Are we, now I've lost it, what was I saying, health plans, life insurance, 4-day week, are we losing any due to 4-day week?
You know, I don't think so. Right now,
Not this year.
we've had a conversation, it's really been here lately, the past few weeks, that, because when I'm having a conversation with Craig and with Curtis, they're like, this has never happened before, and I said, oh, this is normal stuff. But it's not for a 4-day week, it is to go to a school that pays a little bit more money. Now, do I foresee that that could be a definite factor in the next few years? Absolutely. As other schools around us go to a 4-day week, and if the government continues to fund 38,000 for school districts that are not at 38,000, who, if you had a choice of working 4 days and making 38, or working 5 days and making 41. So right now, I don't know if everything is passed yet, but it is in there, in the bill or in the budget, that if you are not a school that pays 38,000, the government will fund all of it to get you to 38,000. Last year, it was like a 60-40, 70-30 split, so you still had to pay for something. This year is 100% paid for in the budget, which helps the smaller schools, but it hurts us. Because if I could go to another school and just make $3,000 less, but work only 4 days a week.
And but it also hurts their mid-tiers more, potentially.
It does, and I can
compressed
speak to
the
that.
salary levels.
Yeah, because you could be a new teacher.
And you're gonna make exactly what.
And year 3, you may be only making 35.
Absolutely.
May not keep them long term.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
As an additional concession to the teachers, has there been any further talk about reducing the amount of time that they're here or required to be at school when there's not students here?
No, we haven't, not for this year, but we'll have that conversation next year. But, because I knew we had a small conversation on that. And so right now, the staff is required to work 182 days, or the teachers. And our school days, 168.5. So they are required to be here, 13 and a half days, that it is, 14 and a half days, more than what a student is here. We have not had that conversation. I can tell you that right now, other schools in our area, their staff are required to be there more than what we have.
Sure. But as something to say, okay, if you can't give them pay, then what's more valuable than time? And the teacher showing up 2 weeks before school starts and sitting here watching YouTube videos because they have to be here.
Well, some of those, I will say that it's a week before, and on the videos, part of it, because I know what you're talking about, or I think I do, they are required to watch a lot, all faculty and staff are required to watch a lot of videos for.
Including the board.
Yes. I forgot about that.
I was just talking more entertainment.
Oh.
Make the time pass.
Sure.
As they sit here twiddling their thumbs.
They shouldn't be.
Shouldn't
No,
be,
and,
No, we've got work out the ears.
but they could, what they're saying to me is they could get a lot of these things done at home and wouldn't necessarily need to be sitting here to do it.
So that's a conversation to have.
all the
It is.
flexibility.
Yeah, the flexibility, that is a conversation to have. We saw more flexibility when COVID hit, and then you go back into your normal way of business and you require people to be here. I don't mind having that conversation at all. Yeah.
It's something that we can do that doesn't cost us anything. It's their responsibility to have the room and their self-ready anyway. Right.
You will always run up against that it's not fair for all, or the concession, or the thought, because there's many jobs that have to be here during the day. And I have always said fair is not always equal. But I think we have always done a really good job of trying to make it as equal as we can. So just keep that in mind as we're having these conversations.
And the number of days is not necessarily up to us, correct? I mean, that's a law statute.
Well, the number of hours that a student goes to school, we are required to go 1,044 hours. But then they also want you to add 60 more on top of that for snow days. And then we go another 30 over that. There's a lot. I mean, when you're talking about salary, there's time, there's what the state requires, there's what we require. There's just a lot. It's more than just $1,000. There are other conversations to be had also.
I like all of this. I want to add one more thing that's a factor that teachers consider when they're working. And I think that will continue to improve also is honestly the work environment. If you're going to have camaraderie with your teachers that you're working with, you know, you love that place and you're not going to switch school districts just because of I mean, I understand they have to provide for their families, and I'm all for that. But loyalty, and people know they're loved, they're respected and valued, they're gonna have more loyalty too. So that time, giving them more time, flex, that they do stuff at home, you know, that kind of stuff shows them that we value them and respect them. I think that encourages a lot more loyalty.
All right, any other questions regarding the proposed salary?
The biggest thing I look into full size to make sure I'm looking at it right, if we only did the 300, we would be number 2 from the bottom.
Pretty close.
Guessing only one school district below us and
I
starting
think there was
there.
going to be 2, just as right now, before they gave raises on the information that we had. There is, and I printed
Just to get
this.
perspective on
Yes.
something that stood out in the numbers to me.
I printed this, and I also have MSTA, if anybody ever wants anything. We do two major salary surveys every year. One is through MSTA and one is through MNEA. And you never can really compare apples to apples because how we handle salaries and names of positions is different than what someone else would. But it's as close as we can get. And so we do look at this, and like I said, I had MSTA that didn't print out, but if you ever want to see anything, these are 2 good things that we do every year. We also do a salary survey that Rolla, I believe, sends out, or I did when I was at West Plains, and then someone local. So we do about 4 salary surveys a year so that we know and can try to remain as competitive as we can with the other schools.
I'll make a motion to accept the 23-24 salary schedule at $41,000.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mark and second by Patty, all in favor? Aye.
And I want to reiterate, please note that we didn't find magic money. Okay?
Yeah, we appreciate your work on this. I know you're really trying to balance things. We're trying to be good stewards of taxpayer money. We're trying to attract the best teachers. I mean, it's an unenviable position you're in, and I know that you all had a part in running the numbers and figuring out how to do what's best for Ozark.
So as we go forward, knowing that the magic money, I don't say magic money, is shrinking, you know, you will see more impacts on either the fund balance or somewhere, and that's just going to be a decision that you'll have to make, but at least you'll know what the number is.
And I think it was unanimous, but any opposed, I'll ask to double check, and any abstentions, and so it was unanimous, so thank you.
Just a question here, how quick will the real contracts go out with this amount?
They'll go up in the next couple of weeks. Rochelle is not here. She comes back in on Thursday, so she needs to have a few days to get them all going. So they'll be within the next week or so.
And that'll be email, so it's
Yes,
online, so maybe next week.
It'll be through our portal.
our
Yeah.
portal.
Okay. Our next order of business, I believe we've all met Erica Fulbright. We thank you for being here, and Ashley is moving up in accounting in the department. And so we need a motion to approve Erica Fulbright as board secretary.
I'll make a motion to approve Erica Fulbright as our board secretary.
Second.
Motion by Patty, second by Aaron. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? It was unanimous.
I don't know, also, also like to tell you just a little bit about her background, and I may have done this last time, but correct me if I'm wrong, okay? You have a degree in English, and you also have a master's in legal studies.
Correct.
Yeah, you just got that, didn't you? Just
Yes.
finished that, master's in legal studies. And then also, you have a child that goes to Sal. And then prior to this job, you were a paralegal for the Greene County prosecutor's office. Yeah.
I was there for 7 years before I came here.
So we're excited to have her aboard. We're excited that Ashley's gonna go up into accounting and that we've got her, because I'm sure that we'll bounce some things out with her legal mind.
Yes,
Thank you, Ashley, for.
Yeah.
Putting it.
Now we just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, or do we remember?
Motion by Patty, second by Mark. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That was unanimous as well.
Thank you.
If I ever need to slow down, just let me know. Thank you all. Meeting adjourned.
And I appreciate it because this does allow, if we waited to the 29th, it was a real push to get everything out. That's why if we sort of knew what the numbers were gonna be, we could go ahead and type them in, but this is great, thank you.
You don't have to